Some confessions grip your heart so fiercely that every unspoken word transforms into an insurmountable weight, growing heavier with each passing moment. Today, I choose to unveil the suffocating truth that has lingered within me, a secret nestled deep in my heart. At the age of 60, an unexpected event ignited a sense of vitality within me that I had never experienced before. It arrived at a most unforeseen moment. That morning, the hot water in the bathroom failed to flow once more, and the broken faucets, coupled with my disrupted routines, served as a stark reminder of how constricted my life had become. A familiar echo of loneliness, silence, and the monotony of routine enveloped me ever since my husband passed. Each time something in the house required repair, I found myself dialing a number from the phone book. Lucas, the young voice on the other end, spoke with a deep, steady assurance. "I can come over today." There was an indefinable quality in his tone that piqued my curiosity. I attempted to dismiss it. After all, it was merely a faucet issue. Yet, when the doorbell rang, everything shifted. As I opened the door, the young man standing before me radiated an energy that swiftly dispelled the monotony of my existence. Lucas let his toolbox tumble from his shoulder to the floor at the entrance. "This way?" he inquired. I paused for a heartbeat before gesturing down the hallway. "Yes, just through that door." If you wish to be among the first to uncover these enthralling secrets, subscribe and remember to activate notifications. Stay tuned until the end of the video, for it promises to be nothing short of extraordinary. I guided him to the bathroom door. The young man's imposing frame filled the narrow hallway, his muscles outlined against the fabric of his thin shirt. For a fleeting moment I found myself captivated. My eyes briefly met his. It had been ages since I had encountered a physique like that, and I quickly looked away, feeling unexpectedly self-conscious a heartbeat longer than I meant to. As he stepped into the bathroom, he moved with an air of confidence, as if he were not merely there to repair a faucet, but to unlock a door that had remained sealed for years. "Is this the faucet?" he inquired, his eyes scanning the room. The aged fixture on the countertop loomed before me, and I found myself stammering, caught in an unexpected wave of nerves. Why was I so anxious? It was merely a repair job, a thought I repeated to myself, yet my heart seemed intent on crafting a different narrative. Lucas knelt to inspect the area beneath the sink, and as he moved confidently, clearly experienced in his work. I realized, almost in disbelief, that I was holding my breath without even trying. "It's a bit of an old system," he remarked, his hands deftly examining the pipes, "but we can fix it. It might take a few hours." His calm and assured tone momentarily swept me off my feet, or I hadn't interacted with someone so young and so self-assured in years. Perhaps that wasn't the issue. Perhaps it was that something I hadn't felt in a long time was beginning to resurface. I was contemplating leaving the bathroom when Lucas turned around, his eyes locking directly with mine. "Can I grab a towel from over there?" he asked, pointing to a small leak in the bathroom. I brought my hand to my face, feeling embarrassed. "Of course," I said quickly, moving to open the cabinet. My hands trembled as I opened the door, and when I handed him the towel, our hands brushed momentarily for just a fleeting moment, and I felt slightly startled by the unexpected contact. In that instant I understood that this was more than a mere repair job. The brief silence between us seemed to bear the weight of years of unspoken expectations. "Thanks," he said, returning to his work, but that quick glance in his eyes completely unsettled me. I found myself pondering whether it was merely a momentary rush, or if this young man had stirred something within me that had lain dormant for years. As Lucas bent down to fix the faucet, I continued to pace around the bathroom. My hands were at a loss, caught in a tangle or gripping the counter as if it were my only lifeline. The silence enveloped the room, suffocating me, but it was his presence that truly constricted my chest. My gaze kept wandering to him against my will. His youth, his vibrant energy, the intense focus he poured into his work. Something deep within me stirred, a sensation long dormant, awakening after years of slumber. I felt an urge to break the silence. "Not many young plumbers," I remarked, realizing the comment was somewhat superfluous. "How long have you been doing this?" Lucas paused, casting a glance my way. He glanced back at me over his shoulder, and the instant our eyes locked, a warmth surged through me, though he seemed intent on ignoring it. "I've been doing it for 5 years," he said, redirecting his focus to his work. "Started as an apprentice, then launched my own business." My curiosity was insatiable. "How old are you?" I inquired, my voice betraying a hint of admiration. 26, he replied without a moment's pause. I was taken aback by his youth, yet it stirred something within me, a mix of excitement and an unexpected attraction. "Ah," I managed to say. Attempting to smile, I found myself surprised. Had you not mentioned your age, I would have guessed you were older. There was a moment when Lucas responded, but I could see a subtle change in his expression as if my words had caught him off guard. After a brief silence, he returned to his tasks, his professionalism grounding me somewhat, yet that playful side of me lingered. Care for some coffee once you finish the repairs? I suggested, eager to shift the conversation. I have a fantastic coffee machine and folks often say my brew is quite exceptional. He paused for a moment, his shoulders tightening as he cast another glance in my direction, as if weighing some unspoken thoughts. Thanks, but I've got some work to do today, he said. I'll have to head out as soon as I'm done. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of disappointment, yet it was clear that Lucas was intent on maintaining a professional demeanor. Perhaps that was what made him all the more captivating. He approached his responsibilities with a seriousness that belied his youth. As he wrapped up his tasks, I caught him stealing a few glances my way, his focus momentarily shifting as he packed up his belongings. A toolbox, there was something in those looks, attraction, curiosity, but also hesitation. All done, he said, slinging the toolbox back over his shoulder. The hot water should be working fine now. If there's any issue, just give me a call. I will for sure, I said, gripping the frame next to the door. Thanks for handling it so quickly. Yes, that's the advantage of youth. This time, he smiled slightly but still didn't break his professional demeanor. He walked toward the door, paused for a second like he wanted to say something but he didn't. He nodded at me and left, and it felt as though a bond was forming between me and that young man. Something that perhaps should never have happened, yet I was uncertain of its direction. All I knew was that for the first time in ages my heart was racing. I couldn't help but wonder if this was merely a plumbing issue, or if this young man had come into my life to instigate a change. The next morning as I stepped into the bathroom for a shower, I noticed the faucet still only provided cold water. I never imagined I could feel such happiness over a malfunction. Before my hand trembled slightly as I scrolled through my contacts, searching for Lucas's number. My heart raced with each ring of the phone. Hey Lucas, I said, infusing a hint of urgency into my tone. I think the faucet you fixed yesterday is acting up again. I'm really sorry, but could you come back? His voice remained professional, though I sensed a brief pause. Sure, I'll bring some spare parts with me this time so we can fix it for good. I'll be there in about an hour. I thanked him, and as I hung up, an unexpected wave of excitement washed over me. As I sifted through my wardrobe, a sense of urgency washed over me. I yearned to appear effortlessly unprepared, yet deep down I craved a semblance of readiness. My fingers brushed against my favorite black lace nightgown, an indulgence I tried to rationalize as mere comfort. But the reflection staring back at me in the mirror told a different story. Just as I steeled myself for the moment, the doorbell chimed, and I inhaled deeply before swinging the door open. Lucas's gaze flickered over me for a fleeting instant, but he quickly composed himself, tool bag in hand, accompanied by a few other items. A pipe pieces scattered around, I feigned nonchalance, pretending my outfit was perfectly ordinary. I hoped I wasn't being too much of a nuisance. This faucet was truly testing my patience. Lucas averted his eyes and made his way to the bathroom door. No problem, he replied. I'll fix it for good this time. I trailed behind him into the bathroom, observing every movement as he bent to address the faucet. His hands moved with a deftness that spoke of experience. Yet there was an underlying tension in his posture. Does this kind of thing happen often? I ventured, attempting to bridge the silence. The delicate fabric of my nightgown brushed against my skin, heightening my awareness of the moment. My skin igniting a sense of boldness within me. I pondered the nature of repairs. Do the things you fix ever break again? Lucas, focused on his task, replied sometimes. Yet this time I felt certain it would be different. I had every part one might need right here with me. How careful you are, I remarked, offering him a slight smile. I guess you're really good at your job, even for someone so young. As I reached for the faucet, my hand accidentally brushed against his arm. Lucas froze for a moment, then returned to his work. His gaze averted, but I could sense the shift in the air. His tension was palpable as he finally spoke, his voice softer. A silence enveloped us for a moment, and his distant demeanor emboldened me. While he leaned over to inspect a pipe beneath the faucet, I reached out and briefly touched his back. It's hard to find someone as skilled as you, I remarked, my tone light and teasing. Lucas straightened and met my gaze, a flicker of uncertainty and tension in his eyes, as if he were grasping for control. Helen, he said, my name slipping from his lips like a plea. Maintain your boundaries, this job is nearly complete. and soon I won't intrude upon your space again. Yet, the sharpness in his voice faltered momentarily, and witnessing his struggle to extricate himself from this predicament ignited something within me, an exhilarating yearning I hadn't experienced in ages. I was uncertain how much longer this charged atmosphere could persist, but we had reached a precipice, and the decision of who would breach that threshold rested solely with us. As Otis leaned in to adjust the faucet, I found myself propped against the nearby cabinet, my gaze fixed on him, the feeling somewhat self-conscious about my casual attire. With each move I made I tried to appear relaxed, aware that I might seem overly casual. Lucas remained focused, though I sensed a hint of nervousness, evidence that he wasn't resisting me, but rather battling his own inner turmoil. "Are you sure you know exactly what you're doing?" I asked, infusing a light teasing tone into my voice. Lucas kept his gaze down, continuing his work, though his breathing quickened. "Of course," he replied tersely. "This is a piece of cake, really." I stepped a little closer. "Then why does it break again?" Every few days I would bend down, feigning the act of retrieving a towel from the cabinet. In those moments the delicate strap of my nightgown would slip from my shoulder, and the sensation of wearing it filled me with a newfound courage. When Lucas glanced up, his gaze lingered for a fleeting second before he returned to his tasks, but this time there was a noticeable urgency in his movements, as if he were eager to conclude whatever it was we were engaged in. "Maybe there's something else in the bathroom causing the problem," he suggested, tightening the faucet, though his voice betrayed a slight tremor, struggling to maintain its steadiness.